Hello, welcome to this beautiful session. Let's look at how we can enable password authentication with our AWS EC2 instance. Yes, it is true. Best practice is to log in via SSH, secure shell, which is the best. Yeah, it is most riskier to use the password authentication method to be able to log in. However, we are doing this video just for learning purposes. And should in case you want to enable password authenticator or authentication, let it be as an internal use, and let it be a very strict method, because it is not best practice. Like I said, best practice is for you to be able to log in via SSH. So tonight, our goal is going to be to enable password based authentication via SSH login on our Ubuntu Amazon EC2 instance, where we can literally create multiple users and then assign a password to each of the users, then allow them to be able to log in with their username and password via an SSH client. Okay, so one thing to know, by default for AWS, like I said, AWS disables password SSH login for security reasons, and it is best practice to use the key-based login, which is safer, right? You can only enable it, like I earlier said, is if you want to use it for a training environment or an internal use only, not for production. You don't use it for production environment. So it is not really good. So it's just for you to understand that the password username, okay, is not really that um safe for us to use. But without any which, we are going to look at it to see how it works. First, we need to access our EC2 instance. We can click on the instance ID. Then we can decide to connect via SSH. We can copy it. Assuming we have already created our instance, we can really literally copy the example. But remember, we need to log into our key pair. So we already know when we create our key pair, it's supposed to be in our download folder, right, on our computer. So we move to the download folder by using cd, which is change directory, command Linux. So you can now paste our instance URL, right, to be able to log in. So we can use the command to clear our screen. So in this, we can see that we are able to log in via SSH without any issue using what? Our public key or our key pair, right, found in this file. Good. Now we can literally, this is optional. Okay, we can move to our root user. Okay, so while on our root user, now this is the process to enable password authentication, right? So we can now get into the file called, so we can do vi, we get into our configuration directory, which is etc. Then we get into this SSH directory, then we get into SSH SD .d directory. Then we can now locate the file 60 clouting settings.conf. So in this file, we are going to see how to change our password authentication from being no to yes. So we can click on the I key for insert mode. Then we now turn it to yes. Go back to command mode by clicking on escape key. We do our shift colon WQ exclamation sign, as you see below here, to be able to save what we have been able to do, right? Now, after doing this, we need to run systemctl to be able to restart the entire system so that the configuration can be valid. So we run systemctl restart, restart SSH, right? So once we do that, we can now run systemctl status as just a way to confirm if we're able to do that, if the state is still active and running. So you can do systemctl status, status SSH, so we can see that Let's go to, we click on cure to escape from that environment. Then we can now clear our screen. But of course, we can add up one user because we're going to use a user to confirm if that actually works. So we can just do students one. That's the name. So we now hit enter. We create a password 2025. All right, just a random password for now. We click it on the password. We can just skip all of this stage by hitting enter. Okay, just going to skip the stage. You type yes, and you now hit enter. Okay, now if you check, you will discover if you run ls/home, you are now going to see a user that has been created called student one. That is beautiful. Okay, and remember the password of student one is the password to the one is 2025, right? Now we can decide to exit this method by hitting enter. Okay, so we are good to go. We can still exit by hitting CD, right? We clear our screen now. Now we are good to go. We can say SH, all right. What's the name? The student one. That's good. And we can now log in through password authentication. So we copy, what do we copy? We now look for the IP address, the public IP. Then we can now paste it there. So this becomes the format of login. Okay. As you hit enter, you'll be prompted to what? Insert the password 2025 as the password, and you are still able to log in into this, right? So what you need to do is just to create a password and you'll be able to log in. So even if I still do exit, if I do exit, then I clear my screen, then we have another user they called Ubuntu. All right, so we can still do sh, then we do Ubuntu. Okay, then we now still paste the IP address, hoping that the IP address or the password of Ubuntu you can recall. As you hit enter, okay, 2025, I think so. Now we look at it. If it's possible, it's going to. So it shows I'm not sure I know the password for. Yeah, it shows I don't know the password for this account, and that's the reason why it's not working. But it's easier. All right, Control C, Control C. So let's look at the password for let's see. I saw a user called Jack. I think this users normally have these users, all these accounts, they should have the same password. So I think you see, so it works perfectly. So it becomes easier to log into these accounts. Okay. But if I have to go to, let's see, maybe I reset the user Ubuntu's, okay. I'm not in the sudo as far, so I can't do that. But then the entire process has been clear. Okay. We just follow the same process to set up our password authentication, all right, on our Ubuntu AWS EC2 instance. Thank you. Stay tuned and subscribe to our next video. Like and share if it actually helps you.